Okay, so now that we're farther into the season and we've kind of seen the characters that they've been giving us in the classes, I think I can give y'all a more accurate Isshiki, I guess, prediction. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. But that's going to lead us in today's anime trivia. What was your favorite ability that Isshiki possessed? Me personally, I really think that his dojutsu, the Sukuna Hikonen, I think this was a really cool jutsu that they added, and the way that he used it, I feel like it was actually pretty unique. But hey, like I said, in today's video, I'm going to be giving y'all a pretty good, accurate, I guess accurate in my sense of what they should do with the Isshiki DLC when it releases. So if this is something you think you might be interested in, make sure to stay tuned to the end of the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those nice things, and let's go ahead and hop straight into this content.
Is to lay out your own domain, which you do need to. That was the best you can do, Austin. Ikki ga kusei.
So, we're not going to waste too much of your time, we're going to get straight into the video. So, quick rundown for those of you that don't really know too much about Isshiki. Isshiki was one of the first Otsutsuki to come to the world Naruto. He was Kaguya's partner because the Otsutsuki normally travel in pairs, but Isshiki was betrayed by Kaguya. After this, he was mortally wounded, and this is when he took refuge inside of Jigen's body and basically manipulated his brain and held him as his body until he was able to find the proper vessel, aka Kawaki. So, when we go into some of the things that Isshiki can do, of course he has some of the basic things that Otsutsuki has, so like flight. He can also use image projection, which is very similar to what the Akatsuki used to do when they have their meetings, and he did this whenever he was talking to Code, giving him his last wishes. He can also use Bojutsu, which is basically a style of stick fighting, and he used this whenever he was fighting Naruto and Sasuke. Of course, we know that he can use time-space jutsu like most Otsutsuki, and of course he has Fujutsu, which is basically sealing jutsu, which he used whenever he was trying to seal Naruto away when he didn't want to deal with him. Okay, so now we get into the things that can actually make a difference with the DLC. We're going to start off with his first dojutsu, which is the Sukuna Hikonen. This is one of his abilities that are able to be used by Jigen and Isshiki, but I'm going to talk about the difference that you can do with both of these. But when we talk about the Sukuna Hikonen, basically this is just going to allow him to shrink his body and also shrink objects. He can't shrink living things, but like I said, objects. But the only exception with the shrinking things is he can shrink himself. So the thing about the Sukuna Hikonen, it's also going to tie into his next jutsu, which is going to be the Daikokuten. Sorry if I said that wrong, but the Daikokuten is something that he only gets whenever he's in his Isshiki form. Jigen cannot use this ability. So the difference is, with the Sukuna Hikonen, when he's just in his Jigen form, he can only shrink objects, but the objects are still in the same time space. Meaning if he runs out of chakra, these objects can still hurt him. So a shuriken thrown, if he runs out of chakra, the shuriken will come back to normal size and hit him. In this form, whenever he's Isshiki, the Daikokuten allows him to store any objects that he shrinks inside a pocket dimension. Meaning if a fireball is fired at him and he shrinks it, he can also store it in the dimension where if he runs out of chakra, it doesn't hurt him. We see this whenever Kojin Kashin forces him to reincarnate himself, because Isshiki, well, Jigen, when he's trying to survive, he's trying to get rid of the flames, but he can't just make them disappear in the pocket dimension. He can only shrink the flames, and as his chakra starts to deplete, we start to see Jigen get burnt, which causes him to reincarnate. We move over to the next thing, we're going to be talking about the karma. Now, with the karma, like we already know, most Otsutsuki have the karma, so of course he can absorb jutsu and things like that. The next thing is going to be the Byakugan. This is something that we haven't really seen get justice in Shinobi Striker, but Isshiki does have a Byakugan in his left eye. This is only available whenever he's in his awakened state. Jigen doesn't have the Byakugan, but Isshiki does, and he can also see the life force and basically the chakra points, everything that you can see with the Byakugan you can see, but with his dojutsu he can also see the life force of his enemy. And then of course we move over to another thing that he has that's unique to him is the cubes. These are cubes that he stores in his pocket dimension that he can bring, and there's multiple things that he can bring out of the pocket dimension. He does cubes, robs, but these are the things that he really uses. So for what you'll actually get for Isshiki, I feel like he's going to be similar to Konohamaru, not in the sense that Konohamaru was OP or anything like that, but what Konohamaru did is he pretty much brought a bunch of ranged jutsus to attack types and also bringing a ceiling ultimate. What I feel like Isshiki is going to do, since he's going to be a defense type, he's going to bring a bunch of ranged jutsu to defense types. And one of the first things that I feel like he's going to bring is going to be the first jutsu, and it's going to be the Sukuna Hakona. So the way that this jutsu is going to work, it's going to have a 15-second cooldown, and it's going to have about a 2-star damage, and this is going to be the cube summoning. So what's going to happen with this is it's a jutsu that summons cubes around the activator. Those hit by the cubes have their movement speed reduced, positive status elements removed, and are blown back by the impact. This can be activated mid-attack. The cubes will stay on the field for a while. So I feel like this is going to be similar to Water Pillar, and also a little bit also similar, I guess you could say, to Dome Wall. This is more of going to be a defensive jutsu where the cubes fall down right around you. And like I said, since it's activated mid-attack, this is going to be very similar to Body Blow, and I think it's going to allow you to get out of attacks whenever people are trying to strike you and hold down bases and things like that, since this is going to be a defense type DLC. And then also where I said that the cubes won't disappear, so this allows it to be similar to the Wind Sights, where you can maybe jump on top of the cubes, and the cubes can also protect you from jutsu. You're gonna have to forgive me for the names. When we move over to the second jutsu, it's gonna be the Rod Barrage. We gotta do the rods. We can't bring Isshiki without the rods. So for this jutsu, it's gonna have an 18-second cooldown, and it's gonna be about 3-star damage. A jutsu that pierces the enemy with chakra binding rods from a distance. Those hit have their ninjutsu cooldown reset and secret technique reduced. This attack leaves your opponent momentarily stunned. So I think this is going to be similar to Amaterasu, where it activates at a certain area, but I guess it's going to be more of like a forward striking something, so something similar to Vanishing Rasengan and Amaterasu mixed together. And whenever I say the stun's going to be similar to Octo Hug, where you have that moment of, opening where you can continue the strikes and continue the combos. And I just feel like this is going to be a good jutsu for getting things set up, but that's also why it has the long cooldown, because of the damage combined with the fact that it's going to reset your ninjutsu cooldown, and this is also going to reduce the secret technique gauge. And finally, we move over to the ultimate jutsu, which is basically going to also be the Sukuna Hakona. So the way that this is going to work is going to be Sukuna Hakona Perfect Form, a secret technique that shrinks the user to a size not visible by other ninja. When in this state, the user can hover around the battlefield instead of standard movement. The defense of the user will be reduced in this state. Normal strikes are disabled when in this form. In addition, there are 2 special jutsu while in this state. When activated, the user will momentarily return to normal size before shrinking again. Inputting the technique button an additional time will activate a Karma Blast, destroying a wide range. So, since this jutsu, you can already tell, it's going to be extremely powerful. That's why we had the defense reduction, because Isshiki and Jigen are both vulnerable when they're in this small state. You see this whenever Naruto takes advantage of it with the Rasengan and tries to get Sasuke to strike him, because if you didn't know, with his Sukuna Hakona, he can only shrink things that within his field of vision. So if you're hitting him from behind while he's already shrinking something, that is a weakness. And I feel like that's also going to help with this ultimate jutsu. So like I said, the reason why I said the movement's going to change, because I feel like they have to throw flying in here at some point. They already have it with Conan's jutsu, and I feel like maybe if they add this to defense types, this would mainly be, I guess, mainly a flag type ultimate, but it also has some offensive capabilities. So this is why whenever you activate this state, you can hover around, but also as something to balance it out, you cannot use your normal strikes. So your normal X, your normal Ys, these aren't going to work. But similar to Barin mode, you're going to have specific jutsu that you can use, with one of those jutsus being something similar to Vanishing Rasengan, but instead you just throw the rod at your opponent, and when you hit them, we can just say maybe it reduces the secret technique gauge or resets the cooldown. And then with the second activation, which you could use with the LB or the L1, is going to be where you just drop a cube on top of your opponent, which is very similar to Nagato's overhead rocket launch that he has. And then with the double activation being, it's going to be him firing off a Karma Blast blast, which I think is going to be kind of similar to how Kirin is. You don't want the wide range to be too wide. You want it to be a little bit easy to dodge just because of the fact that this ultimate already has a double activation and movement speed, all these other things. You gotta balance it so it's not too overpowered. And then of course for the other rewards, I can see us get a Shinobi boost. I also believe they'll give us Jigen's hair, so like the little ponytail look, I think that'd be pretty fire. As far as another outfit, we can get Kawaki's outfit that he had in the Academy arc with Himawari recently. And as much as I wanted to give the weapon 2 range types as it should be to them, I don't really know how they'd go about having, you know, Isshiki's rod being a range weapon, because, you know, for the most part, range type weapons are very short, the size of a kunai. The longer weapons are usually for defense types, and Isshiki uses a longer weapon, him and Jigen. So the weapon's going to be a defense type, and I think it'll be Ishiki's rod, and I think this weapon will have a projectile Y combo. And then of course we'll get an honorary title. I think it'll be something to do with the Otsutsuki, so probably like the first Otsutsuki or something like that. And then we also maybe get a lobby action, which is utilizing the Sukuna Hakona, which allows you to shrink in the lobby. I think that'd be pretty fire. But that's gonna be my prediction. Some of this might be a little bit out of there, but if they did the DLC like this, be perfect. Bon appetit. It would be perfect. So some things that you might want to look forward to that maybe might be coming and could possibly come with the Isshiki DLC, but we're not going to count it as our predictions, or I might, because I do that. But because Isshiki has the Byakugan and because the Otsutsuki have Byakugan, depending on what characters they bring, you know, next season, you might see some better Byakugan abilities. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Karma Ninja tool at some point, something that allows you to absorb Jutsu and stuff like that. I definitely see that coming. The possibility of another Jutsu that allows flight, with them having all these godly-like beings that can fly, be looking out for maybe another Jutsu that allows you to fly or move a little bit quicker. And the last thing is something, that accessory that they need to add. They've already kind of put it on there with the pedal horn, but the Otsutsuki horns. I feel like once they add this to the game, the cosmetics will really be pretty cool and, you know, honestly pretty fire. But let me know in the comments what you think about my predictions. Do you think it's a little bit of a reach saying Isshiki's going to be doing all this? But even if they don't do what I'm saying, I got a feeling Isshiki's going to be the best DLC of Season 5. He has to be. But hey, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell notification, and I'm going to see y'all next time. We out.